Okay, so this is the demo for the 2015 free response question number 1. It's called DiverseArray. All right, so says this question involves reasoning about one-dimensional and two-dimensional arrays of integers. So the College Board kind of likes this question here because it's testing if you understand arrays, if you understand 2D arrays, and if you understand how to use the for each loop. And if you know all those things, this is an easy question. And if you don't, it's difficult. So there's a lot of things they can test with this. So you might see something similar to this. You'll write 3 static methods, all of which are in a single enclosing class named DiverseArray. The first method returns the sum of the values of a one-dimensional array. The second method returns an array that represents the sums of the rows of a two-dimensional array. And the third method analyzes row sums. So it says write a static method array sum that calculates and returns the sum of the entries in a specified one-dimensional array. The following example shows an array R1 and the value returned by a call to array sum. So 1 plus 3 is 4, plus 2 is 5, plus what do we got here? Sorry, 1 plus 3 is 4, plus 2 is 6, plus 7 is 13, plus 3 is 16. So that's the array sum. So this is the method public static int array sum, and the R is the array that's being passed in. There's a couple ways to write this and test this. Basically, in main, I set up R, okay, and I said system.out.println my diverse array sum. I actually need to comment this out. This is my test for the next one, and I'll show you what I did. So anyway, there's a couple ways to write this first one. And everybody should know how to do this. You could have sum is 0. You go from 0 to the length, and you just add this up, okay? And this works fine right here, okay? So 16 is returned, all right? What I would encourage you guys to do, though, instead of doing this, is to get into the habit of using your for each loop. Okay, so the for each would look like this: int, I don't know, element, and R. Sum plus equals element. Okay, so what's happening here is element, those are the elements in array. Okay, array that's passed in, and they all get added up into sum, and sum is returned. Okay, so 16. Again, I want to start encouraging this because you're going to see more of this stuff, and the College Board likes seeing that. And to be honest with you, you kind of have to do it on the next method because it's really difficult to do without an for each loop, and I'll show you how. Okay, so that's good. So I tested, and that's fine. It says write a static method row sums that calculates the sum of each of the rows in a given two-dimensional array and returns these sums in a one-dimensional array. Okay, so you're counting all these up, and this would be 16. That would be your first element, or in index position 0 of your new array that you're returning. So 16 right here, then 32, 28, and 20. The method has one parameter, a two-dimensional array, R2D, of int values. The array is in row major order. So you're going rows, columns, row, columns, row, columns. Row is R and column is C. The method returns a one-dimensional array with one entry for each row of R2 such that each entry is the sum of the corresponding row in R2D. As a reminder, now this is big. As a reminder, each row of a two-dimensional array is a one-dimensional array. Let's show you that and what that looks like. See, here's your two-dimensional array. There's your one-dimensional array. There's your one-dimensional array. There's your one-dimensional array. There's your one-dimensional array. So this is actually, the 2D array is actually, this one is 4 single-dimension arrays, okay? So, let's look at this. So first of all, we need int, we need a sums array. Now you could call sums something different. You could call it whatever you want. It really doesn't matter, but I'm going to call it sums. And that is a new int with the same number of elements as the R2D length, okay? So the 2D length is 1, 2, 3, 4. That's going to be my link for sums, okay? And I eventually return sums. I want to get rid of that error message, okay. All right, so like I said, you want to use a for each loop here because if you look at the structure of this, they're wanting you to add up each element in each row, which we've already done here, okay? This is an array. It gets passed in, and we add up all the elements and return the sum of them, okay? So if a 2D array is just a bunch of single dimension arrays, then can't we just pass the single dimension array into here and allow it to add up? It's already being used right here. You know, the power of object-oriented programming and all this stuff is that you don't have to write code more than once if you use the methods properly. So that's what we're going to do, okay? So we'll say int row num, and that's going to be 0. Then we'll go for int, and we'll just say row, and R2D, okay? So this is the row for each row, okay? That's all the information you need in there. Sums at row num, okay, there's sums, and we're going to start off with row num 0, okay, because it's that, 0, is going to equal array sum. Is it R sum? Array sum. Okay, and we have to pass in the row, all right? And we just do row num plus plus. Okay, so now what happens, the first row gets passed into here, gets added up, it's 16. 16 gets thrown into element 0 or index position 0, and this becomes row 2, and then so on and so forth, all right? So the way to test that is I just create, I just call it totals. I do row sum. And I can just print this out right here. And maybe I just say Whoops. That may look a little bit better. So total's at 0. Yeah. So total's at position 0, 16. So we add all those up. That'd be 16. 1 is 32. Position or index 2 is 28. Index 3 is 20. Okay. And I don't need that. All right, next one, C. But I don't know, that's a slick trick in my mind how easy that is. You know, if you create the for each, you got your row, it just gets passed in. It's pretty slick and easy. All right, so part C, assume that array sum works as specified regardless of what you wrote in part A. You must use array sum. So it's telling you, hey, you have to use this appropriately to get full credit, all right? So now it's forcing you to use it, all right? Returns a one-dimensional array in which the entry at index k, wait, sorry, wrong, sorry. So anyway, this is actually part B. It tells you right here that you had to use array sum to get full credit, all right? So now here, part C, a two-dimensional array is diverse if no two of its rows have entries that sum to the same value. In the following examples, the array mat is diverse because each row is different. But the array mat 2 is not diverse because the first and last rows have the same sums. Okay, does that make sense? 16, 32, 28, 20, they're all different, but 14, 35, 36, and 14 are not. So this one's not diverse, and this one is diverse. Rheostatic method is diverse that determines whether or not a given two-dimensional array is diverse. The method has one parameter. Two-dimensional array. The method should return true if all the row sums in the given array are unique, otherwise it should return false. The array shown above, the call diverse is diverse, mat1 returns true, and the call to mat2 returns false. Oh, sorry, I'm stretching. All right, let's do this. All right, so how do we think about this? Okay. All right, so let me just write something down real quick. And I can just do it right here, that's fine. How we're going to think about doing this. All right, so I think we're going to have a nested for loop. Let's see here, sketch screen. So let's think about this. So in this one, our first element 16, then we got 32, then we got 28, and then we got 20. All right. So you're going to have to take this element and compare it to this one, then this one, then this one, okay? And then you're going to have to take this element and compare it to, let's see, this one and then this one. Okay, and then you'll have to take that one and compare it to that one. Here, you know, you're going to have to take 14 and it's going to compare it to 35, 36, and then 14. So this one here, here, and then here, and that's where it breaks down, okay? But let's say you had, you know, like, I don't know, 14, 35, 36, 35, okay? This would compare here, 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 and then we got to do the next one, which would compare here, here, and then it would compare there, and that's when it would break down, all right? So it's not just comparing the element next to it, it's comparing all of, you know, the element, and then the next one, and then the next one, and then the second element in here has to compare itself to the other ones, okay? So you're definitely going to have to use a nested loop here. So the 2D array gets passed in. So we got to get the sums. So int sums equals row sum in R2D, right? So that's sweet right there, because that just returns our array that we can compare now. All right, and so this one will return, we'll just say return true for now, just to get rid of this error message. All right, so for int I equals 0, I is less than the sums dot length, I plus plus. Let me make sure I'm getting, let me think now. So we start off looking at whatever's in position 0. So now we got to compare what's next to it. So int x equals I, because we're starting off at 0, plus 1. Okay? And then x is going to be less than the sums dot length, x plus plus. I think that works. So we start off with in position 0 for sums, and then we'll do, so if we think sums at position I, if that's equal to sums at position x, which is just I plus 1, if this is true, return false, because they're you know, that's where the, let me think here, that's where the, you know, if it's 35, 25, 35, 20 or whatever, it's comparing this one at 0 and it's comparing it to the next one. 0 plus 1 is 1 right here. Okay, and so that's not true, so that's okay, right? And then 1 would be added to x, so it would be x would now be 2, so we're still at, so at position 0 compares to what's at position 2, and that's it. So that's what will return false right there. I think this is correct. Let me set up a test case. So I think I can just do system.out.println. My diverse array dot, and it's called is diverse, and I gotta pass in a 2-dimensional array. We'll say mat1. So that should be true. Okay, that's good. Let's try doing this real quick. Control C. Let's create mat2 as well and use whatever's in. So 1 1 5 3 4. 1 1 5 3 4. 12 7 6 1 9. 12 7 6 1 9. 12 7 6 1 9. 8 11 10 2 5. 8 11 10 2 and 5. And 3 2 3 0 6. 3 2 3 0 6. And then let's copy this, and we can make this easier for you guys to read. mat1. Oh no, crap. Ah. True and false. All right, so that's good. Study this for a bit. I personally think the first method is easy, and I think the third method is easy as long as you understand that. For the third method, this stuff is, this is kind of more. This part's easy. This part right here was the most difficult part of this program. And as long as you understand the for each loop, you set up your kind of placeholder, and then, well, in this case, it's the entire row of the 2D array. In this case, element is an individual element in this array. But once you understand that, you should be able to tackle this type of problem if it comes up for you on the AP test. So that's basically all I got for this one. All right.